All right, let's dive into the amazing story of a master builder named Nehemiah and the super sneaky enemies who tried absolutely everything to stop him. This is basically a masterclass in how to beat what I like to call the distraction squad.
You know how it is, right? You are totally in the zone, focused on getting something important done, and then suddenly, distractions start popping up out of nowhere, trying to pull you away. Well, the story we're talking about today, it's about a guy named Nehemiah who faced the ultimate version of that exact problem.
So, let's meet our hero, Nehemiah. This guy was on a huge, and I mean huge, and incredibly important mission. He was in charge of rebuilding the giant protective wall all the way around the city of Jerusalem. And you gotta understand, this wasn't just some construction project. Nope, this was about giving his people safety and bringing back their hope.
And let me tell you, he was absolutely crushing it. The wall was going up so fast, it was almost done. Now, this made his enemies, a couple of guys named Sanballat and Tobiah, really, really nervous. See, they knew that if those walls got finished and the gates were put up, their chance to attack the city would be gone for good. They had to stop the work, and they had to do it right now.
Okay, so this is where the distraction squad launches their first attack. They couldn't win with force, so they decided to get sneaky. Their whole plan was to try and trick Nehemiah into leaving his post.
So they send him this message, and, on the surface, it sounded pretty reasonable. Hey, Nehemiah, let's have a peace conference. Let's get together and talk things out. But this was a total trap. They had no intention of talking. They wanted to get him all alone so they could capture him, or maybe even worse.
So put yourself in his shoes for a second. What do you do? I mean, this looks like a really important meeting. Maybe he could end this whole conflict just by talking? Or should he just ignore them and stay laser-focused on the wall? It's a tough call.
And here it is, Nehemiah's legendary response. He saw right through their little trick and sent back this powerful, simple message. He basically said, "Sorry, can't make it. I'm a little busy with something far too important to be distracted by you guys." This right here became his heroic catchphrase.
And get this, these enemies were persistent. They sent the same fake invitation not once, not twice, but 4 times. And every single time, Nehemiah gave them the exact same focused answer. He was not going to be moved.
All right, since the private invitation trick failed miserably, the distraction squad decided to level up their game. This time, they decided to go public and try to embarrass and scare Nehemiah into stopping.
Yeah, instead of a private message, this time Sanballat sent a messenger holding an open letter. This was totally on purpose. He wanted everybody working on the wall to read it, to get scared, and to start doubting their leader. It was pretty much the ancient world's version of a nasty fake rumor going viral online.
And this really shows you their whole nasty plan. On one side, you've got the lie they were spreading, that Nehemiah was a traitor who was just trying to grab power for himself. But the truth? The truth was that he was doing this incredible work to protect his people. The lie was all about creating fear. The truth was all about service. But you know what? Nehemiah didn't panic. He didn't even waste time getting into a public fight. He just sent back a calm, direct, and really powerful reply. He was pretty much saying, none of what you wrote is true. You are literally just making all this stuff up in your own head. Talk about a shutdown.
So the enemies had one last trick up their sleeve, and honestly, this one was the most dangerous of all. And you know why? Because it didn't come from an obvious enemy. It came from someone pretending to be a friend.
This was a seriously evil, multi-step plan. See, there was this guy named Shemaiah, someone Nehemiah trusted, but he was secretly hired by the bad guys. He pretended to warn Nehemiah that assassins were coming that very night, and said his only chance was to go hide in the sacred temple. The real goal? To make Nehemiah look like a total coward and completely destroy the morale of all the workers.
Can you just imagine how terrifying that would have sounded? This wasn't some rumor. This was a direct, urgent warning from someone he thought was a friend, telling him his life was in immediate danger. Shemaiah was using fear as his ultimate weapon.
But once again, Nehemiah saw right through the deception. He understood this wasn't really about his safety, it was about his character and his entire mission. If he, the leader, ran and hid in fear, it would be the same as surrendering. The whole project would fail, not because of an attack, but because of fear itself.
And this, right here, is his finest moment. Faced with the ultimate fear tactic, from someone he trusted, Nehemiah stood his ground. He rejected the advice, saying a leader like him shouldn't run and hide. He chose faith over fear and flat out refused to go in. He was trusting God to protect him while he kept on doing his great work.
So, after all those tricks, all those traps, and all those sneaky distractions, what was the result? What happened?
Victory! That's what happened, because Nehemiah and his team refused to get distracted. They finished the entire massive wall in less than 2 months. I mean, that is an absolutely incredible achievement, and it was powered by pure, unshakable focus.
And what about the distraction squad? Well, they were completely defeated, they were demoralized. The source material says they were much cast down, because when they saw that finished wall, they knew they hadn't just been beaten by Nehemiah. They realized that God himself must have been helping the whole project succeed.
You know, this story is about so much more than just building a wall. It's a really powerful lesson for all of us about having focus, having a purpose, and learning how to deal with all the distractions that try to pull us away from our own great work.
So, what were Nehemiah's secrets to success? Well, first, he knew his goal was important. He didn't just rely on himself, he trusted in a strength greater than his own. He knew how to say no to distractions, whether they were fake meetings or just mean-spirited rumors. He chose courage over fear every single time. And he simply had a determination that would not quit.
And that really just leaves us with this one last question to think about. We all have something important we need to do. Maybe it's a school project, maybe it's learning a new skill, or even just being a good friend. So what's the great work in your life right now? And how can you, just like Nehemiah, stay focused and see it all the way through to the finish?